Chapter 2. Everlasting Sorrow. One of the tasks that brought me the greatest joy was compiling all the poetry Estolians wrote over the centuries. Most of it is romantic, written by the men to the women who keep their souls. The most extraordinary thing was how many Estolians wanted their own copy of the compilations. When I asked one woman why, she told me that she wanted to revel in the remembered joy of the words that brought her inspiration, comfort and solace. Tilda Cayley Zakarian, Inscrito. Her father slammed out of the house. Corella's shoulders jerked at the sound. Her mother and grandmother were both silent during the confrontation. Corella covered her abdomen with one hand, protective of the life germinating within. She could not hide the swell of her pregnancy forever, her mother guessed that morning when she saw her bathing. Her mother's voice was gentle but firm. It is Groban's right to seek recompense. You must name the father. Papa will have him killed. Corella still loved him, yearning to have him back in her life. Only if he refuses to wed you. Her mother was firm. Wed Sebastian? She wanted that almost more than life itself. Yet the memory of Lucetta, sweaty, with hay in her hair, made her stomach twist up in remembered agony. She could not name Sebastian, could not allow her father to force them to wed. Abuelita, her grandmother, joined the conversation. You must go to see the Divinatra. She alone can decipher the wishes of the 7 deities of Centrath. You are serious? Corella's voice rose in astonishment. The Divinatra claimed to speak for the gods, but had no formal accepted calling. Why would Abuelita, who was very proper and correct in everything she did, make such a suggestion? It would have made more sense if she told Corella to seek advice from one of the Septenatro, the men who were the accepted voice of the gods in Palmyra. Abuelita's lips pursed in distaste. The Septenatro must share all he learns with your papa. He will not keep your secrets. His kind are for the men. The Divinatra will help you. Your brother will escort you, only promise that you will accept what you learn. 3 days later, Dumeril spoke with her just after they broke their fast. Abuelita has commanded that I take you to the Divinatra. A muscle twitched in his jaw, he ground his teeth, and a white line outlined his lips from pressing them together so tightly. Edgar and Alban will accompany us. We will bring a dozen fowl. Abuelita insists it will be enough for the Divinatra. He held the door open, and when she looked at him in query, he added, We leave now, so that father will not know. He will be gone until tomorrow on the eventide. Corella was nervous. Pirates, marauders, and ruffians lived in this region on the fringe of Palmyra, as did the diseased and demented. Dumeril looked around the narrow roads and small dwellings crowded shoulder to shoulder and then looked back at her. This is a bad idea. Inwardly, she agreed, but she was not going to give up. Abuelita made her promise, upon her life, that she would ask the Divinatra her fortune and future and act on it. Her grandmother's directions were vague, but they worked. You will know you have found the Divinatra. You will see a door hanging with a strip of royal fabric, braided with red. It was soiled and short, but unmistakable. She and her brother both dismounted and Edgar took the reins of both horses. Dumeril gestured towards the door. Squaring her shoulders, she looked at her brother again before striding briskly towards the door. A thin hammered metal plate was hanging next to the entrance, with a pair of copla shells braided into another cord. It was a primitive type of bell. She tugged one of the cords and the copla shells clattered against the metal. The response was immediate. A woman flung open the door and pushed aside the inner door hangings. She wore the filth of years like a scarf around her scrawny neck. When she spoke, her breath was overpowering with the stench of decay mixed with garlic. Why seek ye Mathra? Corella did not wish to share her business on this woman's doorstep, but she felt an equal repulsion at the thought of entering the dim interior. I seek my fortune. My future, she recited the words that Abuelita told her to use. The old woman looked at her with one shrewd dark eye. The other eye wandered constantly, the iris a milky white. Her good eye darted here and there, taking in her fine garments, her brother standing protectively behind her, and the 5 horses being held by the 2 outriders. The 5th horse had an unwieldy cage tied to its back, with 12 hens and a rooster inside. Ye think to bribe me with fowl. Corella tried to hold her breath and respond at the same time. I have brought these hens, and the rooster, that I might offer you recompense for the weight of your wisdom. She swallowed down the desire to vomit. The Herodin's nostrils flared and she looked at Dumeril. Thy brother must tarry whilst we converse within. She stepped back and held the door hangings to the side. The room was surprisingly clean. She sat down across from the old woman, allowing her to take her hand. The aged hand gripped hers with remarkable vigor, resisting Corella's attempt to pull it back when the old woman spat into Corella's palm. She was unable to wipe the discolored mass off while the divinatra reached into one of several grungy leather pouches on the table. She sprinkled a pinch of dried herbs over the viscous lump of spittle, and then folded Corella's fingers down over the palm and the noisome mess. The divinatra pulled her hand into contact with her withered bosom and began rocking back and forth while tears zigzagged down her face, following the deep creases of extreme age. She whimpered several times like she was in pain, and then finally opened her eyes. Without releasing Corella's hand, the old woman spoke to her. Though there had been no introductions, she knew Corella's name and her family ties. Know ye this, young Corella, daughter of Groban, sister of Dumeril? Ye gain knowledge but no solace in my words. Listen carefully, and ye may discover there is comfort within them. Only ye can say if ye wish this knowledge. I must know. She had promised Buelita. The tufty brows quirked together and the scratchy voice said, A child quickens within thy womb. I have herbs to give thee, to push it from thy body, and to purify thy womb. She sounded cold and unfriendly, gesturing to another leather pouch with indistinguishable dried leaves within. No. Corella did not wish to lose the only piece of Sebastian that she had left. I do not want to lose the baby. The old woman nodded, as if she expected that objection. Thy future be set, solid, unbreakable, unchangeable, the instant I open thy hand. Do you really wish to know? It was a challenge. Yes. Please tell me. She sighed, deflating, no longer looking like a formidable witch. She looked like a frail, elderly woman, not long for this world. She opened Corella's hand and stared at the slimy mass on her palm. Death, I see, the old woman stated in a voice that was warmly compassionate and coldly implacable. Before 3 seasons turn, both of us will walk in the life after this life. The only thing ye can do is bring the father of your child to ye, that he mayst see thee and thy son, before thy death. Corella stared at the viscous spittle and herbs in her palm with a sort of detached horror. Have you no hope, divinatra, no words of wisdom or comfort? Her voice trembled with the shock of what she was hearing. The old woman gripped her hand hard, pulling Corella's upper body closer, her uneducated, coarse words melted, and suddenly she sounded refined and out of place, here in this humble dwelling. Recall my words, Corella, daughter of Groban. It is a good choice thou hast made. Seek ye out and name the father of thy son. See that he pays penance for his actions. Know that if thou hast the capacity to forgive, thy lover will join thee and together eternity will be thine. Decide. Decide now. I will, she shouted, not even sure what she was saying. The old woman let go of her hand and picked up a large knife, expertly slicing a root vegetable in half lengthwise. She set the cut edge over the slurry on Corella's palm before wrapping a soiled strip of fabric around both hand and vegetable. Ye will know peace, in the life after this life, if thou hast courage in this life. They both got to their feet before the divinatra continued, Ye must demonstrate thy faith by leaving thy hand as it is until thou art back upon thy father's land. She escorted Corella back to her door, stopping one final time to say, Thy joy in the next life is limitless, if thy courage in this one wavers not.